Every generation or so, someone reinvents the computer. In the late 70s and early 80s, they got small enough to fit on a desk. By the 90s, we could fit them in our laps. And for the last 11 years, the dominant personal computers have been the ones that we all carry around in our pockets. Which I guess means we're kind of overdue for a change, yeah? Introducing the Nubia Alpha, the wrist phone with a giant, flexible OLED display that wraps around your wrist. This might be the worst product that I have ever fallen in love with. And let me tell you why. Voting on the builds.gg stock cooling showdown is open. So head over to the 2 contest pages, vote for your favorite entered builds, and earn ballots towards a random draw for awesome hardware prizes. We're gonna have that linked below. Let's begin with the promotional materials, shall we? What does Nubia imagine that the Alpha is? Okay, we got a clock theme going on here. This guy's talking on the phone. Ooh, so many functions thanks to the larger screen, and wow, video chat. Ho ho! So that looks pretty good. And you know what? I don't even think they're that far off. Flexible displays have been a long time coming, and now that they're finally reaching the point of commercialization, I really think that they're one of the best hopes for wearable technology to really take off. Because if you think about it, up until now, the vast majority of smart wearables have been limited to the same sizes and configurations of the previous dumb wearables like watches and glasses, because they're made of fundamentally the same metal and glass materials. So that puts restrictions on their designs that can affect everything from their battery life to their screen size and even the ways that we can interface with them. So it's this last one that I'm gonna address first on the Alpha. So right now I'm enabling a feature that they call Alpha Gesture. What it essentially does is allow you to navigate through the functions and menus without actually touching the screen. So it's similar to some of the hand wavy controls that are present on some cars. Except that it's implemented on a device that, by its very definition, is always close enough that you could easily reach out and touch it. So I'm gonna go ahead and turn that off. And also it didn't work consistently at all. With it enabled, sometimes I'd touch it and then it would actually activate twice. Once for the touch and once for the Alpha Gesture. For now, the thing that I like about it is that it's a preview of what's to come with like holographic displays that you can wear on your wrist and interact with in 3D space. That's gonna be pretty cool. Now I wanna talk about the size. So yeah, it still goes on your wrist like a regular watch or smartwatch, but there were a handful of things that immediately stood out to me, starting with how much information could be present on the screen at one time. Now, at 4 inches and quite narrow, the screen is not exactly panoramic, but it's way bigger than any other smartwatch that I've ever used, and unlike a desktop monitor where I've yet to find a super wide display that I don't like, this is an application where more height actually kind of makes more sense to me. So if a text or an email were to come in, I don't necessarily need a bunch of extraneous space on the side. I want to have as much of the content as possible right in my field of view, and a longer display lets me read the average text or even a short email without any scrolling required. Or, I mean, at least it would have if this thing managed to stay paired to my phone for longer than a couple of hours at a time. But that shortfall actually reminds me of another thing I like about the interface. When I first put it on, I was trying to see something at the top of the display, and I found myself thinking, oh gee, this is really not very comfortable. But you can actually adjust certain UI elements up or down depending on what's most ergonomic for you. So I can kind of imagine a future then where my wraparound display is like positionally aware, and if I'm, sitting at a desk, it could throw a discreet little notification up where only I can see it. I mean, that would be perfect for checking your text during a bad date or something like that. Now, in its current form, the shut up, Brandon.
Wow, what a dick.
Now, in its current form, the Alpha falls well short of this mark, having no awareness of its position in space other than detecting, usually, my check the time gesture, and mostly forgetting where I left things and not even allowing some key UI elements to be moved around, like entering Wi-Fi passwords. So this is again something that I can kind of see where they're going with, even if the experience isn't there now. On the topic of the experience of wearing the Alpha is really something that's gonna depend heavily on the user. So it can be easily resized by removing links from either both or one side. It was a touch big on me, even at its smallest size though, so that's something to be aware of. And it's a little on the bulky side, but still lower profile than other multifunction smartwatches that I've worn daily in the past, like the Casio Pro Trek, and I didn't have any trouble getting sleeves on and off around it. Now, the always-on display functionality, I'm always harping on smartwatches that don't have it. Well, it's not enabled at this time, but while it is still using an older Snapdragon 2100 processor, not very power efficient, I do actually believe them when they say they will turn that back on in the future, since after one really buggy day, when it died in like 4 hours, I've actually regularly gotten more than a day's worth of battery out of the Alpha. The standout thing for me about wearing it is definitely its value as a conversation starter. Thanks to its large wraparound screen, it's an attention grabber that looks more like a cool prop out of a sci-fi movie than something that you can actually go to a store and buy today. Personally, I love it. I think it looks super cool, but I've had others, even here on staff, where we're all admittedly a bunch of nerds, suggest that giving these to high school kids would cause teen pregnancy rates to plummet.
I'm pretty sure that if 30% of high schoolers were wearing that, you would have teen pregnancy just plummet.
Haters gonna hate, I guess, but I think the future really is large wearable screens like this one. And the key word here is future. The Alpha does not do a great job of using its large screen real estate overall. The default watch face dedicates a shocking amount of space to function toggles, with the bottom occupied by some recent apps that, frankly, I think are just as easy to access by simply swiping to the side and finding the relevant one, especially given how few there are. But the thing is, that's hardly even the biggest problem with the Alpha. You'll find that right in the name. I can only guess they called it the Alpha because it hadn't got to the point where they were comfortable calling it beta yet. The vibration motor is among the worst I've encountered this decade, making it feel more like it's trying to escape from your wrist than Apple's tight, purposeful haptic feedback. Multiple notifications from a single app, aside from just piling on and making that noise you heard earlier, will in some cases actually remove the first notification. So if someone sends you a joke in Hangouts followed by lol or an emoji or something, you'll actually have to pull out your phone to find out what was so darn funny. There's no way at this time to handle media control for third-party apps, so you can copy music files over to your watch and listen to them directly from there over like Bluetooth headphones, but that's it. The ringtone cannot be adjusted, a feature that's been a given for a couple of decades now. It's got this whole entire part of the interface that's dedicated to all these exercises that it can track, free workout and heart rate and outdoor running and all that stuff. But with this glitch that registered my daily steps at negative 60,000, I don't know how seriously I'm gonna be taking any of that. And finally, while I'm nitpicking, the camera kind of sucks. But Nubia's justification for it existing at all is video chat. There's only one small problem. How is this more ergonomic than this? I mean, if they're pitching this with eSIM support in China currently as a full-on replacement for a phone, I think the point is there is clearly a lot of work to do, but I do see the vision. With WeChat, Alipay, and a few other key apps, someone with full support in China could take calls, pay for their groceries, and navigate around town without ever needing to take a phone out. It's just that the experience is far too buggy to be ready for prime time. In fact, if I had $1 for every time I saw this crash message over the last couple of weeks, I could probably just buy myself a cheap phone. But I guess that's the nature of the beast with these first concept that somehow made its way to a store shelf type products. And even if I'm not gonna be daily driving this thing anytime soon, I'm really glad that Nubia sent it over to me because it was certainly worth having the experience. The Mass Drop Koss Porta-Pro X headphones are actually based on the original 1984 Koss design. They've been updated to make them more modern and durable, but they're portable, they're on-ear, and they can be folded up in different configurations for easy storage. They feature oxygen-free copper voice coils that provide a wide frequency response and warm and smooth sound. The single-button control lets you skip tracks, make calls, and activate voice commands, and they've got a noise-canceling mic with Koss's lifetime warranty. So why don't you join the drop today at the link in the video description. So thanks for watching, guys. If this video sucked, you know what to do, but if it was awesome, get subscribed, hit that like button, or check out the link to where to buy the stuff we featured in the video description. Also down there is our merch store, which has cool shirts like, oh, Rip Tebow. It's got cool shirts, and our community forum, which you should totally join.